So let's get into it. I want to get this out of the way now. So Ash does come with one flat skin and then a bank of skins. This is the traditional way of Acustica Audio's GUI. This is the one that changes color based off of the converter that you pick. So for instance, if I decide to choose digital, this stays yellow. It's actually a few of them stay yellow. And then you have this one here, stays yellow. So of course it says yellow, right? Cool. But if you switch it to gray, onyx is black, platinum, and then you have the red. Outside of that, the biggest difference is just the workflow here, right? It's the same plugin with a different skin. You have all of your meters here. This kind of stays the same here, right? The bypass and listen area is over here. Though, now that I'm looking at this, the one thing this does not have is the mid and the side listen function. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm missing it somewhere on the screen, but it doesn't have those two options, just the delta. Personally, I like the flat skin. All right, so on to it. Okay, so how do you use this thing, right? Now, I've already went over the interface, so we don't have to talk about that. But the way you set this is you want the signal coming into the plugin to hit around here. This is the optimal range for the clipper. With this sitting at 0, if you go over this 0, it'll start clipping. So you want to hit just here. I don't think it matters too much if you just a little bit over and it starts clipping, that's fine. But the biggest thing is that you're looking for 1 to 2 decibels of clipping. Or if you're in the creative mindset like I am, you may go for more. All right, so we're going to start with the kick drum here. So we need a little bit more input. Now, just to give you a heads up, back here on the mixer, I have all of my meters calibrated to -10. So if I go over -10 with peaks especially, then I have not properly gain staged signals coming in. And I can't say I've done everything on here like that, but I definitely did the kick and the snare. All right, so we're going to give it some more volume till we get up there to that 0 point. And then I'm going to compensate, and I think you can use the auto function, but it doesn't seem to be working that way. So I'm going to compensate for the volume increase, get this right back around -10, which should be roughly the opposite here, right? I'm going to give it a little bit more volume. All right, that should be good. Now, one of the ways you can tell if you're hitting it just right is when that number moves. I'm right there. All right, so we got it set. It's calibrated properly, right? Now I'm going to take this and put this back on left, right. And then we're just going to push into the converter here. Basically, is what we're doing. Now I turned the auto on, which means it shouldn't be an increase in volume. And we're looking for around -2, or we're looking for 2 decibels of reduction. All right, bypass. If you're listening, you should hear it increase. It should be about a 2 decibel increase in the overall volume of the kick, without it necessarily going over the -10 here. Now, if I turn the auto off, you can see where the volume definitely increased, right? So we'll bring down our output a little bit more. All right, that should be good. Bypassed. So that is the clipping part, and mind you, I do have this on the ×4. Now if I turn this off, you can see that the clipping point now is at its normal state. So if I increase this and get more into it, and we can max out at +5. But we can do soft clipping, hard clipping. Now to my ears, the soft clipping seems to retain a little bit more of the bottom end, just a smidgen. And as you can see, it's definitely digging in more with the soft clipping versus the hard clipping. Interesting. I think I like the soft clipping. So we have a number of them. I'm going to actually go for the aggressive limiter here. And you can hear the limiting happen, right? I'll bring it down. No limiting is happening right there. So this is pushing into the limiter. But all the while, if you notice, even though it's louder, we're still at that same -10 decibel point. In fact, let me clear that. So we're sticking around -10.2 here. Even though we have a louder volume on the kick. Of course, the character of the kick is changed because we are limiting, right? So let's bring it back down just a little bit. All right. So I'm going to keep that there. So next will be the snare drum. So I'm going to solo the snare drum here. So again, I'm going to set the auto for right now. And I'm told to make sure that the auto is off if you're using the limiter. So, but right now we're setting the clipper. So we're going to reset all of our controls by hitting control. Just make sure everything is back at 0. All right, and then I'm again going to increase the input until it gets up to a nice healthy level. Good healthy signal coming in. And again, the way you can tell is if you got too much is if the gain reduction meter starts yapping at you. All right, so I'm gonna bring it down some, just about there. All right, that's fine. So let us start clipping this one. Now I'm gonna leave it on point. I'm gonna leave it on without the -20. It's on -5. So, and again, we're aiming for around 2 decibels. A little more up won't hurt if it sounds good. All right. All right, so we're clipping there. And actually here, let me reset that and let me bring this back down like I did before. That just under the little bit more. Roughly are matching the input and the output, right? All right. Where we at? 10.7. That's good. All right. Now we can increase the clipping. And we're looking for 2 decibels of clipping. All right. And this is roughly how you set this, right? All right. So we have that gain stage. We're getting around 2 decibels of reduction. I'm going to be naughty. All right, so let me bypass this. A little more. All right. And again, I'm using this on an individual channel, so I'm not so much trying to follow the rules as I am trying to get a good sound. And I think the other part of it is that, of course, I'm cutting some of those peaks that will have an effect on the actual mix after the fact, right? So doing this now rather than compressing or limiting, which will essentially change the texture of the sound, this is taking care of those extreme peaks that aren't really useful. Now, I still want to keep the transient sound to it. I want it to have some thwack to it, right? But I want to be able to get a much more louder mix that, especially according to the meters and according to whatever processing goes on the master bus or in mastering, right? This will allow you to get a little bit more volume down the road. That's how I'm looking at this. All right, let's see what we can do with the limiter. This time, let's try the transparent limiter. See what that's all about. I'm going to turn the auto off. I'm going to push into this here. And that might be a little too much. Bring it back. Let's see what happens if we bring this down some more. And just a little bit. Now I'm trying to be good here. So let me do a full bypass. That's our original. And where are we hitting? 10.4. 10.7. Engage. 10.6. So 10.1. Bypass. So I'm getting definitely a fuller sound because, of course, we're clipping and then we're limiting the clipping, right? The post clip limiter. I do have some stabs in here that I think may benefit from using Ash. And I'll actually use this version here with this GUI, and we're going to try out this on the stabs here, right? So we're going to adjust and get our gain stage together here. Turn this down by 10. A little bit more because it looks like we're going to need some real getting up there. All right. This thing is really dynamic. All right, so let's start clipping here. And again, I am going to do the -20. Now, this one, of course, as I stated, changes color based off of the converter that you choose. So let's listen. This is what it's adding. That's what it's clipping, all right? Interesting. And that little bit of stuff right there can be the difference between you getting a extremely loud master or not. Now, I am curious. I'm told these first 4 are from Fire the Clip. So this is essentially Fire the Clip within this plugin. Aha. Now, it's not doing as much as the other. Interesting. So we're going through what each one of these clippers, or converters, I should say, are doing in regards to clipping and digital standard. Let's go to the gray. If you're familiar with Acustica Audio's business model, they don't really talk about any third-party gear that was sampled, because it would kind of be, it just wouldn't be good business, right? But I'm not a third-party Acustica employee or anything, so I can freely talk about these things. And what I'm getting ready to say is not law. It's not written anywhere. These are just my best guesses. Let me say it like that. So the yellow, well, first of all, this yellow, this is, like I said, this is the Acustica Audio's Fire the Clip right here, right? These first four. What was guessed at for the others, that the gray might be Prism or Burl. And I think it might be Prism, because I think Burl would be more green, right? This yellow is Lavery. This is my guess, Lavery Gold. Interesting sound. The platinum, my guess was Crane Song. And some of this was just me looking at the actual converters and looking at the color of the boxes themselves. So this is my best guess here. Onyx, I figured to be Lynx. It just makes sense. But as you can hear, these definitely are doing something different for each one that you choose. Now, I do know this name here. This is one of the third-party developers for Acustica, and this is a homebrew set of converters that was then sampled, right? This one has transformers in it, so it's very interesting. So let me see what that sounds like. He has quite a few in here. So a FET bass one based off of LED, one based off of Neon, interesting. This one isn't doing as much. Well, in certain parts it is, okay. But it's not as grabby as the other ones. This is the Transformer Hard. And this is the Transformer Soft. All right. And then you have various versions of Yellow X and a couple of versions of Yellow K3. This one seems to be doing the most. The company said you should start with is the K3, I believe. Or it might have been the X3. This one. +6. And then a custom version of it. Interesting. Aha, now it sounds like I have too much going with this particular model. So I'm going to put it back to the one I like the best, which is this one. No, sorry, it is this one. And I'm going to actually now we are clipping this thing to hell here, aren't we? So let me bypass this. See if we can match this up. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to pull up good old trusty EQ in Cubase, and I'm going to cut some of this stuff at the bottom. A nice soft slope. That down there I don't need. All right. I got a guitar sound in here, and I'll go back to our flat version, which is the one that I do like. So I'm going to do this and this again, and then I'm going to put auto on. Whoa, way too much. Now, let me make sure I check my gain stage with this. Bypass. Should be fine. It is. Okay. All right, so 10 looks like to be proper. All right. All right, we'll stick with that. And we'll push this. See how much we can get. I really do like this yellow X3. Let me bypass it. Aha, I hear it now. Now, some of that I can live with. It is mashing it though. I just seen something that I think somebody may have pointed out in the Facebook group, and I think this is and I think it was even stated, this is a property of clipping. If you look at the signal, right? Bypassed. There's a high difference between the left and the right channel, right? But when I engage the plugin, because it's now clipping there, the signal that was reaching above the threshold that the clipper is stopping at is now no longer getting that high. So the stereo correlation has definitely been modified as a result of that. All right, let's see if we can go extreme with it here. All right, see, look at that. Now there's still some stereo information different between the two of the left and the right, because there's still some signal that once it's below the threshold, it's different on one side. And I think that is a property of, it's not even pan. So this is the actual signal itself straight up the middle. And that makes a lot of sense, because this signal on the left side, and I don't think that they're independent here. And to me that would make sense, but they're independent here as opposed to being like two monos, dual mono. So yeah, the stereo portion, as far as the major changes in amplitude between the two, is definitely apparent. So I think at the end of the day, it's really just the signal hitting up against the clipping, and because one side is not as loud as the other, that one side that is the loudest is folding down more. Yeah, so you're going to lose some kind of stereo information when it comes to clipping. Now, if you've been looking at this here and wondering what this is keeping your overall level below full scale by -1. That's my understanding. All right. Let's try some aggressive limiting and see what happens here. Now we're going to push on the post clip here. Gotta push it a little harder. And now we're getting what appears to be even more reduction. Or rather, no, I take that back. I did modify that, didn't I? So let's bring that here. All right, now get it together, Yish. All right, so we're just going to do the drum bus for right now. So let us set this accordingly. I'm just going to go ahead and reduce this in level. Increase this till it pops. Right there. It's a little under 10. A little bit more. Right there. Okay. That's fine. So then we'll increase this to look a little something like that. Bypass. Turn all of that off. Start with that off. Keep that on auto. Now I'm going to behave this time. Remember, I've already clipped the kick and the snare. I'm going this loud, you can hear it's not necessarily good. And what's interesting, now that I'm looking at this, back it up. If I go back to, and this is just a guess. Here, let's do this. Since I'm doing just the drum bus, well, let me stay where all of this heavy percussion is, because it's a lot more instruments playing. Okay, there we go. I'll behave around here. Now, if I turn these off, what do we think may happen? Let's see. Well, they definitely lost some power there. So hold on. Let me go back. I'll make sure I'm doing this right. Well, of course it lost some power. Interesting. Very interesting, actually. So I would actually have to turn the volume down in order to match the volume, the perceived volume rather, than the peak volume there, right? That's pretty close. Okay, so let me do the same to the snare drum. Okay. Well, you might have got about 1 decibel there. All right, let's go back to our drum bus here. All right, now we in the pocket. So I'm gonna turn on the naughty button. So we got a little more volume for my drum bus. Now I'm going to do some limiting with this one. Transparent. I don't really need true peak in this case. And let's do 2x. Now I'm going to turn this down. This is about 2.5 decibels. So we're reading up here. There we go. Okay, so here's before. I'm going to put this back on K14. Interesting. You see that? So our mix is hovering around -4 here. Or +4, and we're pretty safe without it. Oh yeah. Interesting. And now we're going to do the master bus. It should not have a significant amount of clipping. Right? In fact, I can turn the auto off. Bring this up some. Look at that. Now, I'm gonna do just 1 more decibel full. Maybe 1.5. Oh, that's too much. So right here, 0.5. Let's see what we get. Still that one little area. And that's it. We'll pour over on our, now of course, we've increased the volume a little bit here. So let's bring her down just a smidget. Match it up. Yep, bring it down just a little bit more. Bring it up just a smidget. Do a little bit of limiting. I'll put this at 4x. Barely a decibel. Bring this down just a little bit. Now, to demonstrate this -1, take a look at our meter. Put that on. Look at that. We're right here at our K14.0, which means we still have 14 decibels of headroom to go. So if we look at our digital scale meter, we're right here at 14. It is not moving above that. Right? So now, let us do the grand before and after. Here's my final thoughts. As a mastering processor, you got several converters that have been sampled and put into here to use for clipping. The usage of this on individual tracks will vary. It really depends on the type of music and the type of signal that you're processing. But you can knock out some problematic transient stuff that is just in the way with this. Till next time.